What if I told you that for men over 60, the first place your body starts dying isn't in your heart, it isn't in your brain, it's in your penis? That's right. Before you ever notice muscle loss or memory slips, there's a silent decline that begins below the belt. The firmness fades, the sensitivity dulls, and slowly, you begin to feel like a shadow of the man you used to be. I'm Dr. Mohit Khera, professor of urology and men's health at Baylor College of Medicine. For over 30 years, I've helped thousands of men restore their energy, vitality, and intimate confidence, without pills, without surgery, and without shame. And I want you to hear me clearly. You are not broken. You are not too far gone. There's something you can do, starting tonight. Because here's the paradox. We've been trained to believe that male decline is inevitable, that once things stop working down there, it's over. But what if I told you a simple natural oil, one you've likely seen on your shelf, could help restore blood flow, dissolve hidden plaque, calm inflammation, and bring back the sensation you thought was lost forever? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how castor oil, used the right way, can improve circulation, soften internal stiffness, soothe discomfort, revive nerve sensitivity, and rebuild the skin barrier where it matters most. And by the end, I'll reveal one critical mistake that could stop all your progress before it even begins. So stay with me, because this is about more than healing your body. This is about reclaiming your manhood and feeling fully alive again. Let's begin. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to hit that button and turn on the bell, so you never miss a natural health solution designed specifically for men over 60. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0. Your feedback helps me make content that truly supports your journey back to strength and vitality. All right, let's begin with the very first and most immediate benefit you may notice, because everything starts with this. Without strong, steady blood flow to the pelvic region, nothing else works the way it should. Firmness fades. Response time slows. Sensation weakens. But this is exactly where castor oil begins to work its quiet magic, by naturally reawakening circulation where you need it most. Let me show you how. 1. Boost blood flow to the private area, naturally. I still remember the moment Robert, a 67-year-old retired teacher, walked into my office and sat down quietly. He didn't say much at first. Then he looked down, took a deep breath, and said, "Doc, I'm not the same down there. It doesn't respond like it used to." That kind of statement isn't rare. In fact, it's one of the most common things I hear from men over 60. And it's not about desire, it's about blood flow. See, after 60, your blood vessels begin to narrow. The inner lining becomes stiff. Nitric oxide levels decline. And the arteries that feed your most vital region, the same arteries that once responded with ease, start to shrink back. This is where castor oil becomes far more than just a folk remedy. When applied with care and warmth, castor oil delivers a unique compound called racinoleic acid that gently stimulates circulation by relaxing the small capillaries under the skin. It doesn't force the process, it encourages it, like coaxing life back into something that's been asleep. When Robert started using castor oil 3 nights a week, he wasn't expecting much. But within a month, he returned with a different tone in his voice. "It's subtle," he said, "but I'm waking up with firmness again. I forgot what that even felt like." That's the power of restoring circulation. It's not just about performance. It's about feeling alive again, more responsive, more confident, and more connected to your body. But here's the truth. Poor blood flow isn't always the root of the problem. Sometimes, the real issue is hidden even deeper, beneath the surface, where most men don't even know to look. Let me show you what that is. 2. Breaks down internal tissue, stiffness, and unwanted buildup. Daniel was 71 when he came to see me. A proud, no-nonsense military veteran, he sat across from me with a furrowed brow and said something I'll never forget. "Doc, something's changed. It's curving. It feels tight. I'm not in pain, but it's uncomfortable. And honestly, I don't feel like myself anymore." What Daniel was describing is something I've seen in countless men over 60, yet very few talk about it: internal tissue stiffness, or what we sometimes call penile fibrosis. It happens slowly, often without any warning. Years of small traumas, inflammation, or even unaddressed tension can lead to a buildup of collagen beneath the surface. This dense, fibrous tissue creates a kind of internal scarring, stiffening the shaft, reducing flexibility, and sometimes causing curvature or shortening. The hard part? Most men have no idea it's happening. They blame aging or just assume it's permanent, but it's not. This is where castor oil becomes a real therapeutic ally. Its active compound, ricinoleic acid, doesn't just work on the surface. It penetrates deep into the underlying layers of tissue. When applied consistently with warmth and gentle massage, it helps soften the rigid collagen that's formed, making way for better elasticity, shape, and comfort. Daniel followed a nightly routine, applying castor oil to the affected area 3 to 4 times a week. After 6 weeks, he walked back into my office with a quiet smile. "It's straighter. It moves easier. I feel like I'm getting control back," he said. And that's what this is really about: regaining a sense of ownership over your body. But breaking down hidden plaque is only part of the healing equation. There's another issue, more subtle, more widespread, that could be silently draining your strength every single day. Let's talk about that next. 3. Reduces inflammation in the pelvic region. Michael was 66 when he came to see me, and I could tell right away something deeper was going on. He wasn't complaining about performance exactly. He just looked tired, worn down. When I asked what was bothering him, he said, "It's not pain, doc. It's this weird tightness. Like everything down there is shrinking or pulling inward. I feel smaller, less connected, less alive." What Michael described is something I hear more often than you might think. It's not always a burning pain or a dramatic symptom. Sometimes it's just this quiet, creeping sensation that something's fading. And most men have no idea that the culprit is often low-grade chronic inflammation in the pelvic region. As we age, our bodies begin to accumulate minor damage in the blood vessels, in the connective tissue, even in the nerves. And when healing doesn't keep pace, inflammation sets in. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It makes everything a little more rigid, a little less responsive. Over time, it blocks blood flow, restricts movement, and numbs sensation. But castor oil, applied with care, is one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories I've seen. Its ricinoleic acid is absorbed deep into the tissues, where it calms the immune overactivity that fuels silent inflammation. It doesn't just soothe, it invites real healing. Michael began using it every other night, gently massaging the oil into his lower abdomen and groin with a warm towel. After just a few weeks, he looked at me and said, "Doc, I feel like my body is opening up again." That shift, the feeling of expansion, of life returning, is what healing should feel like. But even if inflammation goes down, there's still one layer left that often gets overlooked, one that determines whether you feel pleasure or nothing at all. Let's explore that next. 4. Restores nerve sensation for deeper intimacy. One of the most heartbreaking conversations I've ever had came from a patient named Larry. He was 70 years old, and on the surface, everything seemed fine. He was in good shape, still active, still married, but during our appointment, he lowered his voice and said something that stopped me cold. "I can still perform, doc, but I can't feel it. It's like my body is going through the motions, but my heart's not in it anymore." That hit me hard, because for so many men over 60, it's not just about achieving an erection, it's about feeling alive inside it. That spark, that pleasure, that sense of connection can fade, and when it does, it leaves men not just physically numb, but emotionally disconnected from themselves. The nerves that control pleasure and sensitivity in the genital area are incredibly fine and delicate, and over time, things like poor blood flow, inflammation, pelvic tension, and even certain medications can dull them. It doesn't happen overnight, but one day, you realize you're not feeling much at all. Castor oil can help change that. When applied regularly with warmth and intention, It creates the perfect environment for nerves to wake up. Its anti-inflammatory and circulation-enhancing properties support the repair of damaged or sluggish nerve endings. It's not a jolt, it's a gentle return. Larry began using castor oil at night with a simple massage. After a month, he leaned in and said, "I can feel again. It's faint, but it's real, and it reminds me I'm still here." That kind of reconnection changes everything, not just physically, but emotionally. But even if the nerves come back to life, there's still one more critical piece of the puzzle, because none of this works if the skin, the protective layer around it all, starts to break down. Let's talk about that next. 5. Heals and strengthens aging. Skin in sensitive areas. Frank was 73 when he finally brought it up, something he'd been too embarrassed to mention for years. He leaned forward slightly and said, "The skin down there, it just doesn't feel right anymore. It's dry, thin. Sometimes it cracks if I move the wrong way. I feel fragile." That word, fragile, is not one most men use easily, but it's real. As we get older, we talk a lot about losing muscle or testosterone, but very few people talk about what happens to the skin, especially in intimate areas. Yet the changes are undeniable. Hormonal decline, reduced collagen, and decreased circulation all take their toll. The skin that once stretched easily and felt vibrant begins to thin, flake, itch, or even tear with simple movement. And the effect isn't just physical, it's emotional. When the skin no longer feels resilient, men often begin to avoid intimacy, not because they don't want it, but because they no longer trust their own body. This is exactly where castor oil becomes a game changer. Thick, rich, and deeply moisturizing, it penetrates far deeper than surface-level creams. It nourishes the dermal layers, restores elasticity, and locks in moisture where it's needed most. It creates a soft, natural barrier that protects the nerves and vessels underneath, allowing everything else, sensation, movement, pleasure, to work more comfortably. Frank started applying a thin layer of castor oil at bedtime just 3 nights a week. Within a month, he told me, "I'm not afraid anymore. The skin feels stronger, and I feel like myself again." That confidence, that quiet strength, comes when the body feels whole and protected. But applying the oil is only one part of the process. Now let me show you the exact steps to use it properly, so you don't miss the full power of what this healing oil can do. 6. How to use castor oil the right way for maximum results. When I first recommended castor oil to Gerald, 69, he raised an eyebrow and gave me a skeptical smile. "You want me to put what? Where?" he joked. But behind the humor was hesitation, something I've seen many times. For men over 60, trying something new, especially something intimate, can feel uncomfortable. But once I walked him through the process step by step, something shifted. You see, it's not just about the oil, it's about how you use it. Healing isn't just chemistry, it's rhythm, presence, and intention. Done right, applying castor oil becomes more than a task. It becomes a moment of reconnection. I always recommend starting with 100% pure, cold-pressed castor oil. No additives, no fragrances. Warm it gently by rubbing a few drops between your palms or placing the bottle in a cup of warm water. Then, in a quiet space, massage the oil slowly into the shaft, base, and surrounding pelvic area. Use circular motions, not with pressure, but with attention. Let your hands listen, not force. If you can, place a warm towel over the area afterward and rest for 15 to 20 minutes. The heat encourages deeper absorption and brings even more blood flow into the tissue. Do this 3 to 4 nights a week. You don't need to rush or overdo it. What matters is showing up consistently. Gerald came back after 4 weeks with something different in his voice. "It's not just working," he said. "It's changing how I see myself. I actually look forward to doing it." That's the beauty of a simple practice done with care. But before you start, there's one mistake I need to warn you about, something most men overlook, and it could keep all of this from working. Let's talk about that next. 7. The one mistake most men make that can ruin everything. If there's one thing I've seen sabotage men's progress again and again, it's this. They give up too early. They hear about castor oil. They get curious. They try it once or twice, maybe even for a week. And when they don't feel a dramatic change right away, they stop. But healing doesn't work like flipping a light switch, especially not in tissue that's been aging, stiffening, or shutting down for years. It takes consistency, it takes rhythm, and most importantly, it takes trust. Trust that your body is still listening, still capable, still willing to respond if you give it the right kind of care. I had a patient named Thomas, 72, who was incredibly disciplined in every part of his life, except this. He expected results in days, and when they didn't come, he was ready to throw in the towel. I gently asked him to give it 4 full weeks, no pressure, just steady attention, 3 or 4 nights a week. He returned at the end of the month with a completely different energy. "I don't know what changed," he said, "but something clicked. Not just in my body, but in my mindset. I'm not chasing quick fixes anymore. I'm learning to work with my body, not against it." That's the shift, from forcing to cooperating, from impatience to care. And when you find that rhythm, everything begins to respond: blood flow, tissue, sensation, even confidence. But castor oil isn't just a tool for the physical. There's something deeper it touches, something most men don't even realize they've lost until they start to feel it again. And that's what we'll uncover next. 8. Reclaiming confidence, connection, and the quiet strength within. Over the years, I've come to believe that the most profound transformation in a man's health doesn't happen in his muscles, his hormones, or even his blood vessels. It happens in his sense of self. And I've seen this again and again, especially in men over 60 when something starts to shift down there. It's not just about losing firmness or sensitivity. It's about losing something unspoken, the quiet strength of knowing your body is still yours, still alive, still capable of responding with power and pleasure. I've had men sit across from me, tears welling in their eyes, trying to explain what they've lost. Sometimes it's a sense of connection with their partner. Sometimes it's a feeling of masculinity that's slowly eroded over the years. And sometimes it's just the ache of missing themselves, who they used to be. That's why castor oil, used the way I've shared with you, becomes more than just a remedy. It becomes a ritual, a way of saying to your body, "I haven't given up on you." And when you do that, when you bring care, presence, and consistency to the parts of yourself that have been ignored or abandoned, something incredible happens. Men begin to feel whole again, not just functional, but confident, not just capable, but connected to themselves, to their partners, to life. Because in the end, healing isn't just about tissue, it's about identity. And the good news is that identity isn't gone, it's waiting. And now, as we close, I want to share one final message. Something I believe every man over 60 needs to hear, especially if you've ever felt like your best days are behind you. Stay with me. You'll want to hear this. Conclusion: you are not broken. You're ready to heal. After more than 3 decades working with men over 60, if there's one truth I've learned, it's this: the body still listens, even when you think it's too late. Even when years of stiffness, silence, or shame have made you believe your best days are behind you, your system is still waiting for the right kind of care. Castor oil may seem simple, even old-fashioned, but the science is real, and so are the stories. I've watched men restore blood flow, soften internal scar tissue, calm years of hidden inflammation, and bring sensation back to areas they thought were lost forever. I've seen fragile skin become strong again. I've watched nerves reawaken and confidence return, not just in function, but in identity. This isn't about magic. It's about giving your body what it needs: warmth, presence, patience. 3 to 4 nights a week, just a few quiet minutes. That's where the healing begins. And more importantly, that's where you begin to feel like yourself again. So if you've been sitting in silence, feeling like something inside you has gone dim, let this be your moment to lean in. You are not broken. You are not done. You are simply being invited to return to yourself, stronger, wiser, and more connected than ever before. And it all starts with a bottle of castor oil and the decision to begin.